Losing weight isn't easy, and some days we can feel like we need some extra help. Welcome to the Weight Loss Warrior podcast, the show where we share inspiring real-life success stories from normal, everyday people like you and I. Listen to how each of our guests managed to overcome their personal challenges to lose the weight they wanted, as they talk about the secrets to their success and give great advice that you can benefit from. Become part of our tribe and use the Weight Loss Warrior podcast as your source of motivation and support to help you on your weight loss transformation. And now, your host and friend, Carl Radley.
Hello, everybody. It's Carl here, and welcome to a new episode of the Weight Loss Warrior podcast. I'm joined here today by somebody extremely inspirational. Her name's Sarah. She's from Guildford in Surrey, and she's lost over 12 stone as part of her journey. And I'm very happy to have her here on the show today. Sarah, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Carl. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Really, really well. And I'm still getting used to the whole video podcasting thing. And we were just talking about it a little bit in terms of, how to edit it. And I'm sure it's something that will improve, but I am definitely getting used to now having a face-to-face conversation as well as an audio one. And very much looking forward to hearing your story today, because not only have you lost a huge amount of weight as part of your journey, you've managed to keep that weight off. And you've maintained that for over 6 years, just crossed 6 years, I understand, which is fantastic. So congratulations. And I know for a lot of people who listen, one of the big things is how do you maintain that weight loss once you achieve your target? So I'm sure if that's okay, we can jump into that as well today.
Definitely.
Fantastic. So before we get started with that part of your story, and keeping in mind it has been 6 years that you've been at Target, why don't you take us back even further to before you decided to start losing weight?
So I've always been big. There wasn't like a point in my life where it was like, I was smaller. I've always been big, going out to shops as a kid with friends. They all went into New Look and all the fashion shops, and nothing would ever fit me. I've always been big. And then I was thinking actually today when I first got together with my husband, I remember telling him I was 19 stone. And then again, it just went on, happily married, more weight, baby, more weight. So yeah, just progressively bigger from the word go, basically.
Okay. And being something that you had difficulties with and struggled with even as a teenager, what would you say attributed to your weight gain as a teenager?
I remember more when we were at sixth form and like the girls started to get driving licenses, and then we were going out to McDonald's drive-through at lunchtime.
That's like the standard thing you had to do when you passed your driving test, wasn't it? It's the first thing you'd do is you'd go with your friends to McDonald's drive-through. It was, I remember those days.
What was done. And then obviously like getting money for school lunches and things, it wasn't how it is now. It was all like portion of chips, or once you're given that money and that little bit of freedom, you do what you want. You're not at that age, you're not picking the healthy options. So definitely think that didn't help.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I don't know your age, so I'm not going to make assumptions. And
I think we're the same age. I'm 39.
Oh, yeah, me too. Well, for about another week. In fact,
really?
When this goes live, I might already be 40. Who knows? But yeah, on the 9th of October, I'll be 40. So
I'm next year, so I'm a little bit. I'm 17th of April, so
just a baby, just a baby. But being in that same age group though, and remembering what it was like, not just at high school, but at college as well, in terms of, like you said, a little bit of money. I remember a portion of chips at school was like, or if the canteen was like 45p or something like that. And so it was very accessible to eat rubbish food. And I also think there was a lot less focus on healthy eating compared to
100%.
to now. And so we were feeding ourselves, not even in such a bad way, it was just the normal way as seen by many. And there were other things you could have, but it was convenience. All your friends were going to the same places. Like you said, if someone had a driving license, you'd go to McDonald's. And that was just part of, I think, the college culture for most people. Now, obviously, there were some people who were more health conscious, some who were less self-conscious. But I would say, if I was to generalize, I would say that was quite a common thing. And I myself was overweight during that time, and I attribute a lot of that not just to the eating but the drinking as well that took place, at college and in my early 20s, and that didn't help either. And so you said you when you met your husband, you were at 19 stone.
Yeah.
And then that crept up.
That was 2001, I think. Yeah, so it just literally, and obviously when we got our own place, it was just, I never was taught about cooking. I didn't know how to make a meal from scratch. It was always put something in the oven, so it was always chips and something just thrown in the oven because that's all I knew. My mum, I was thinking about, my mum used to make meals, but yeah, not something I really picked up on. We weren't taught about cooking at school and things like that. I did food tech, but we used to bring in jars to cook from, and pizza. We made sweet pizzas. It's like, why didn't they teach? Why didn't they teach about putting a meal together?
Of course, I remember. I think the most nutritious thing I made at school was a soup. But obviously, as you move into a house with a partner or get your freedom, the last thing you do is be eating soup 6 times a week. And so I get it and I understand. And for many people, again, I think it's a generational thing. But the world has changed so much that now, if you have children, there is almost this expectation that you will teach them from a young age about nutrition and health. And because we are surrounded by it so much with social media and the internet, it's almost impossible to avoid. So it's almost a case of there's going to be exposure to nutrition or health or diets, and it's really about guiding younger people in the right way, because otherwise they're exposed to things that are going to actually harm them and things that create a very bad mindset, a negative mindset for them, which can be very damaging. So 100%. I think we have to take it into consideration with the advancement of technology, just how things have changed and how we have to now encompass that in part of parenting and guiding young people. So yeah, absolutely, it has changed a lot. So for you, Sarah, as you had children, you said you had a child and you gained weight. At what point did you decide that enough was enough?
So when I had my son Tyler, when I was pregnant, I got gestational diabetes, but that didn't really. They said it was attributed to my weight. And also, because of that, I had another scan, they measured him and they said that we wouldn't let you go further than 40 weeks because he was big. So I was due to be induced on my due day, and then he ended up coming the day before anyway. But then had him and just carried on eating exactly what I wanted. He went off to school, and my friend, she was doing Slimming World, and she said, sort of nudged me. I've always had friends that we've never spoken about my weight, or, it was never an issue. But I kind of thought, I wonder what it would be like. I wonder if I could do it. And I'd always dabbled in a few things in the past, just trying to eat a little bit more healthily, trying to move a bit more. But then nothing was ever sustainable. I think for me, I need to be accountable. And I didn't have that. I was just sort of trying things on a whim. And because of that, the weight always just went back on again. So she mentioned Slimming World, and I sort of had a look in the book and thought, could I do it? And there wasn't that big moment. There wasn't that big click. I just thought, let's give it a go. Literally that. So my birthday fell on the Sunday. So I said to her, and the group was on the Monday morning. So I said, I'm going to have a blowout weekend and I'll join on the Monday. And that was it.
Wow. Okay. So a couple of things then before we go into your actual journey once you joined Slimming World. You said that you'd never really spoken to your friends, or there are friends you hadn't spoken to about your weight, but it wasn't an issue. But when you say it wasn't an issue, does that mean it wasn't an issue to you? You didn't mind being overweight at the time, or it was something that hadn't impacted your friendship? So I just wasn't too clear on that.
But both. I mean, I was, because health, I mean, other than the gestational diabetes, I mean, that went away when I had my son. For me, I was fit, now healthy. And yeah, I suppose because there was no health issues, I just thought, well, I'm fine. And my friends never brought that up with that, as I say. So, but both sides, it wasn't an issue for me, and my friends never made that an issue.
Of course, and I would guess, and I've had guests on the show who, well, recently Steve came back and talked about, you know, his onward journey, and he was somebody who had lost weight because of a health scare, but up until that point had been happy with the life that he had as an overweight person. Whereas a lot of people that I speak to on the show, being overweight was making them clinically depressed, extremely unhappy, and really impacting their quality of life to the point where they had to change something because they were deeply saddened by the place that they were. So for you, it sounds as though it wasn't really impeding your life, and that because there was no health implications, you were happy. And that would be a reason, I guess, why your friends wouldn't necessarily mention it to you, because, you know, if you were sad and down and they could see that, they might try and help and support you change that. And I would guess being overweight would probably be one of the first things that you could change if you were feeling like that, or if you're in a bad relationship, it's another thing. But because it wasn't an issue for you, I guess it just wasn't ever something that had to be raised and brought up. But then,
yeah, I mean, there were implications. Like, I was thinking back about, you know, when my son was younger and he would maybe want to go to a soft play or a trampoline park. But in my head, I would just sort of organise it so that my husband could be there and my husband could do that with him. So I was dealing with the fact I was overweight, but it wouldn't ever make me feel sad that I wasn't, you know, my son wouldn't go without. He would just, I would be there, but I wouldn't be joining in. And my husband would, you know, be able to join him. My son's got special needs, so so it's just somebody to be there with him. So I guess, you know, I was always dealing with it in my head. You know, I've heard people talk about, you know, like if you go into a meeting and that, and you see the chairs with the sides, and you wouldn't pick that chair because you're worried you're going to get stuck in it and things like that. So you're always dealing with it, but it never, you know, it never made me feel depressed, or, you know, it was just something I had to deal with. Okay. And I just got used to that.
Fair enough. And yeah, I completely understand what you're saying about, you know, just navigating your way around any potential difficulties, any potential issues that you may face. But it's done in a way that, in the same way we tackle everyday life in many aspects, we just find ways to cope with that, or find ways to go through that, so it doesn't become such an obstacle to what we're doing. So then you had your birthday, you had a blowout weekend, and then you decided to start Slimming World. And I'm guessing you went because there was an idea at the back of your mind that you would like to lose some weight.
Yeah, I guess I had no preconceptions. I was like, let's just see what happens. Could I do it? So I weighed in at 23 stone and 2 pounds.
Okay.
And they kind of ask you what you would like to weigh. And I was like, I don't know. You know what? I didn't even know what a healthy weight was. So I just said, okay, I'd like to lose 10 stone. Just plucked a figure out of, no, I'd like to lose 10 stone. Sorry, not I'd like to weigh 10 stone. So, so she wrote it down and then went away, did it for the first week, went back, and I'd lost 9 pounds. And obviously I'd had that big blowout weekend, and I know the first week is a big loss. And I just cried. I was like, oh my God, this is actually possible. I can do this. So yeah, that just spurred me on. Brilliant. And so I started on the 18th of April, 2016, and I got to target on the 25th of September, 2017.
So about a year and a half.
Yeah.
God, that's quick maths from me. I'm not usually that speedy when it comes to things like that.
Yeah. So, and literally lost or maintained every week. There was 1 week I maintained because I was so focused. So focused to get the weight off.
And that was 10 stone. You lost 10 stone?
So I lost in total 12 stone. I reduced my target, so 12 stone and 2 pounds.
Okay, so yeah, obviously, I didn't really mention that, or didn't really phrase that well. So to get to that 10 stone target originally took you through to the following September, and then you dropped your target again, or by then you'd lost 12?
Yeah, I got to my final target, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it's incredible. And I think once the process, and this is something I've always said about Slimming World, Weight Watchers, keto, everything, that the process works. It's your dedication and ability to follow it to the letter, which is the challenge, I think. And
100%.
Navigating all the outside environment and everything else that's happening in your life that can impact your ability to follow that process. So what do you think for you, Sarah, made it happen so consistently, so well? What worked for you in terms of being able to turn up each week and lose weight?
So when people ask me this question, I always say, I'm sure I have. So my son has autism, and I'm sure in my brain I'm partly autistic, where, you know, I say to people, Slimming World give you the rules, and if you follow that, you will lose weight. And it's not about that. We know how to lose weight, whatever plan you're doing, if it's Weight Watchers, Slimming World, counting calories, but it's the mindset that you have to work on. You know, you go to Slimming World, you're there for an hour and it's all great, but you're away with yourself for the rest of the week, those 6 days, 23 hours, you're by yourself. You have to have the discipline to do it. And if you follow that plan, you will do it. And for me, it was that accountability of Slimming World. It was going every week and weighing in and celebrating with those people. I was always aiming towards that next half stone award. So they give you awards for every half a stone. So I was always, you know, as soon as I got an award, I was like, right, I need to lose another 6 pounds to get to my next one. So for me, it was literally the accountability. It was, so we're in the middle of the week when something was trying to tempt me, I would think to myself, what's more important? You know, that, you know, instant gratification of that chocolate bar, or, you know, come Monday again when I weigh in, you know, and everybody's celebrating with me because I've got a great loss. And for me, that was always more important.
That's fantastic. And I think, I mean, you mentioned with your son being on the spectrum, and you think that partly that could have helped contribute to it. And with a limited knowledge that I have of autism, I could understand why that focus, or I want to say it with complete respect, but almost like obsession with every week reaching that, is something that could be attributed to that. And I understand where you might make that connection. And I think for a lot of people who lack focus or the knowledge of how to be disciplined in that way, is where people will yo-yo diet, where people will struggle. And I think you're absolutely right that if you separate the two between the plan and then the mindset, and this is why I've now gone into mindset warrior coaching. This is why I'm now working so much towards helping people with mindset, because I think that is the missing piece of the puzzle in terms of achieving long-term weight loss. And it doesn't really matter which plan you follow.
100%.
It's having self-belief, having self-confidence, being able to find that discipline so that you can lose weight on a consistent basis. And when you have lost that weight, you do have a plan and a mindset that will continue to serve you with strength. And I think you're absolutely spot on there. So you reached your target weight of losing over 12 stone within a year and a half following September. And you've just celebrated 6 years of staying at that weight. So I think this is like the perfect success story in many aspects. But have there been things that have challenged you during that time? And have you found yourself gaining weight? Tell me about the last 6 years, if you can.
So, yeah, I think because I was quite strict with myself when I was losing weight, I did find it a little bit tricky when I got to target, because obviously that wasn't how I wanted to be all the time. Because I think to start with, I couldn't just have 2 squares of a chocolate bar. It was all the whole thing. So I think when I got to Target, I needed to learn again how to have those things, but in moderation. I didn't cut them out completely when I was losing weight. I still had those things, and I still went out with friends, and I still had takeaways and things like that. But yeah, so I think when I got to Target, I did bounce a little bit, just finding my feet, because again, that's a whole different mindset about maintaining weight. And that you don't, when we talk about maintaining, it isn't a number. I mean, with Slimming World, you get like 6 pounds to play with. So, it was learning to, I've heard you talk on the podcast about, people that don't have problems with their weight, where, if you do go away on holiday, you would treat yourself, and then when you come back, you get straight back on it. And, that's what I've learnt to do, that, I have a treat when I'm away or for a birthday, but that's that done. And then you get back on it and you adjust your week accordingly, like, what everybody else would do.
Yeah. And dare I say it, like in inverted commas, a normal person.
Normal. Yeah.
Because, you're absolutely right. I have spoken about this many times, because for anybody who isn't losing weight, you have the normal things that happen in life that you would expect to gain weight. You'd expect the circumstances to change, and as a cause and effect, you might gain weight. And so that is what I would consider absolutely normal. And it's, again, going back to mindset, I think having the ability to allow those moments to happen, but realize that's not just opening a gateway to going back to how you used to previously eat in excess, or even recognizing these events not as an opportunity to eat as much as you can during that short period of time, but understanding that you can still enjoy yourself without the necessity to perhaps go completely overboard. And it's about finding that balance, I think, and discovering it. And if you're someone who's lived the majority of your life overweight, with habits of emotional eating or binge eating, or using these opportunities like birthdays, Christmas, holidays to just go all out, it's very difficult to then, from one day to the next, teach yourself a new process, because it's habitual, and you really have to learn and work on yourself to be able to achieve that, I think. So again, like you said, it's normal to be like that in that situation. But I completely understand why, once you've spent so much effort losing weight, to then find yourself in a bit of a situation of not knowing exactly how to manage that. Because I guess for you, you'd got so used to either losing weight or maintaining. The idea of gaining a pound could actually be quite intimidating and frightening for yourself and for a lot of people on a journey.
100%.
It's something I've struggled with as well. When I've tried to gain weight in the gym, I find it very difficult not to just treat it like a free-for-all. I find it very difficult to control. I never thought I would find losing weight easier than gaining weight in a controlled way. But it turns out, it's something that I struggle with, and to the point where I don't reach my goals in gaining weight, but I just gain more weight than I need to. And so that's something I'm trying to work on as well, because it works in both ways. And again, finding it's completely down to mindset. So it's very curious. It's very curious and interesting. And in terms of your journey over the last 6 years, do you feel now quite settled? Has it just become a lifestyle for you in terms of following a Slimming World plan, having that margin either side, because normal life is like that, but then still having that accountability? How important is that still as part of your journey going forwards?
Yeah, I still like to go to group. I would love to be a consultant. It's just not the right time at the moment. I love helping out other people, and it, that inspires me. It still inspires me to carry on. When I don't like the word diet, because for me, it is a lifestyle now. And I think that's part of the mindset. If you say, oh, I want to lose, a stone to go on holiday, I don't think that works, because, well, it would work for then, but then what happens when you come back from holiday? You need to do it for you. And this is, I think that's the thing to get your head around. This is it. This is how it is. If I want to keep the weight off, be fit, then this is how it needs to be. And I think once you get that in your mindset and figure out that's what is important to you, then that's how it just becomes intrinsic.
Of course. And it sounds as though that has for you certainly become part of your life, not even part of your lifestyle. It has become your lifestyle. It's become, it's part of your identity. And this is what I think so many people, like you said, are looking to achieve so that they actually live their life in a way that they're not constantly thinking about food.
Yeah.
Because that for me is a difference as well between it being a lifestyle change and a diet. Because when you're so focused on whether or not you're gaining weight or losing weight, it becomes very difficult to just treat it as a lifestyle because you're so focused on that aspect of your life. Whereas there's so many other parts of your life that need to be fulfilled in order for you to be happy in general. And so I wanted to ask as well, because for you, obviously, you've had this amount of success. And then for people who have potentially maintained for a set period of time, or people who have struggled to maintain, do you have any tips or anything that you could share that might help people on that part of their journey?
I think, think back to where you started. Would you want to go back to that? Because we all know how easy it is to gain weight. The moment you take your foot off the gas, it's so easy to put that weight on. And, would you ever want to go back to where you started? No, it's probably, because this is why we all join, to lose the weight. So think about why you started in the first place, and, what is it that pushes you? I mean, for me, I've really got into fitness. So again, they just go together. So, I need to be eating healthily because I enjoy running and swimming, and, eating takeaways don't go well with running and swimming, So, for me, that I think that's quite important as well, incorporating some movement, some exercise in, because again, that really helps with the mindset, and it also helps with the healthy eating, because you will notice the difference. If you fuel with rubbish, you'll feel like rubbish, and you won't be able to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
So I really think definitely maintaining, for me, you need to incorporate some sort of movement, even if it's just walking, because the two go very well together.
100% agree. I think it's something I spoke about recently with Steve, because he's a very keen runner on the episode with Steve, the catch up. And he was saying exactly the same as you've just said as well, Sarah, that it's a case of one hands into the other, and it builds that momentum and constant cycle. And literally last night I was working with one of my coaching clients, and we were talking about it, and she'd said to me, I really want to do some exercise. And because of the weight loss that she was experiencing, she felt it was the right time. But the health benefits of eating a healthier diet and feeling that weight coming off provides that inspiration to then do something in a more healthy way, which then inspires you further to carry on that journey of eating in a healthy way. And I always use the analogy of treating myself like a car, which is ironic considering my name's Carl. I'd not thought about that before. But I like to look at my body like as a car, in terms of if I put the wrong type of fuel in, I'm not going to run as well as when I use the correct right fuel that I should be using. And so that has also helped me to reduce the emotional connection that I have with food, or had with food, because if I was eating through my feelings, I'd be like, oh yeah, I really fancy that because I love that. Whereas if I'm just like, right, I know that this has got 25 grams of protein and X amount of calories, and if I eat that, it's going to help me go when I go to the gym later today. I've kind of removed that emotion I'm eating to fuel my body. And it builds a different kind of relationship with food, or at least has in my case, that has really helped me to be less emotional around food. And what other benefits have you seen? I mean, apart from starting running and swimming, the fitness side, because when you started your journey, it wasn't so much from a place of necessity, in that you were unable, or felt that your life was not able to be fulfilled because of your weight. Have you been surprised by any things that you didn't think about when you were overweight, but since you lost weight, changed in your life, or things that you started
Yeah,
doing?
just everything. Like things you don't even think about. Like even now, I know people talk about it where I know I'm this slim, but like if somebody's coming towards me on a pavement, sometimes I'll just walk out into the road because I don't think I'm going to fit past them and things like that. But yeah, loads of things. Going to a theme park with my son, and I remember when I was larger, thought I could get on this ride, and they had to come round and pull the belt round because it wouldn't fit on. Absolutely mortifying. And then once I lost the weight, I went back and clipped it straight in. That was just like, I loved that. Absolutely amazing. Picking clothes up from the front of the rack instead of the back, going into regular shops that you can pick sizes up from, doing things with my son now, happy to go swimming with him, going on flumes. I never would dare go on a flume just in case of breaking something. So, yeah, I suppose I wasn't really living I'm living the life now that I should have done years ago. And I think because I enjoy different exercise, I know people with exercise, you say, find the thing that you love and do that because that will be what keeps you going. But I think because I was sedentary for so long, I've enjoyed doing lots of things. So swimming, running. Since COVID, I walk every day. I've got like a static bike I use. I do workouts at home with dumbbells, aqua aerobics. Just, I've just taking everything. Like I'm doing everything because I can.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And again, although you felt like you weren't restricting your life or quality of life before losing weight, it was just not realizing how much more was available to you once you'd lost weight there. So it's really great to hear. And, being as young as we are, Sarah, you've still got a long way to go to be able to enjoy that. And so it's great that you've experienced that and come to that realization and managed to change your life at a younger age. And I wish you every success for the future. It sounds as though you've got it locked and it's something that, there's no danger or fear of it ever relapsing back to as it was. And if that's actually, rather than assuming that, let me ask you, is it something that does concern you at all, or is it something that you're so key and focused on that you just no?
I would never go back to that, and because I would be losing out on so much now, because I wouldn't be able to run like I do at 23 stone, with the pressure I'd be putting on my knees. And another thing as well I was thinking is sleep. Like the three of the things, so eating healthily makes you sleep better gets you more motivated to be able to move more with eating. It's all sort of tied in. So no, just the whole healthy lifestyle, it would never revert back.
Amazing. I'm very happy to hear that for you. And also for anybody listening to the show who either thinks that weight loss is not possible to sustain or they would never get to their target weight, we have to keep in mind, Sarah, that you've lost over 12 stone, which is an incredible achievement in itself, but you've maintained it for over 6 years and a day now. So it just goes to show that it can be done. But like you said, it has to come down to mindset. It has to come down to working on yourself and not just expecting the act of the food you eat to be enough. And so that's something I do think is very, very important. Sarah, I don't know, you've given so much advice and I really appreciate that. And I'm sure there's going to be people who would love to come and find you on Instagram if they don't already follow you. So could I ask, whereabouts can people find you?
I knew you were going to ask that. I meant to find it. Hang on.
It's not a problem because I've got it written here right in front of me. So shall I tell people where they can find you?
Yes, please.
Absolutely happy to. So it's SW_SarahWake_my journey. Now, obviously, as always, I'll put a link there so people can come and find you. Or if anyone has any problems at all, they can just send me a message and I'll share that with them. But I just think that it's such a great inspirational story and one that has longevity as well, in terms of the fact that, you know, you've created a completely different life for yourself. And then now your lifestyle of running and, you know, the activities you do, the food you eat, that's all on your Instagram account, so people can find you there and follow you there.
100%. Yeah. And if anybody's got any questions, you know, it doesn't have to be Slimming World. This is why I love your podcast, because we're all here to lose the weight or maintain the weight. And, you know, I've picked up things from other podcasts that aren't Slimming World. You know, as I said to you at the beginning, it doesn't matter what plan you're doing. We're all in the same boat. We all want the same thing at the end. So, yeah, if anybody's got any questions, I'll be happy to help.
That's really appreciated. And another place people can find you as well is the Weight Loss Warrior Tribe group on Facebook, which, as you said, it doesn't matter which plan you follow. It doesn't matter how you're losing weight. People come together there from all different weight loss plans, people who are currently on a journey, people who have completed their journey, people who have been guests on the podcast. And there's the opportunity there to speak to people either from the podcast or each other. And that community is starting now to, I think, really start to gain momentum and grow, which I'm very, very happy to see it flourish, because there's a lot of supportive people in there. There's a lot of people helping each other and sharing their successes, which is something I absolutely love to see. So if anybody would like to come over to the Weight Loss Warrior Tribe Facebook group, you are more than welcome to join us. It's completely free. You just either have to search there or go to my profile on Instagram and you'll see a link there that will take you through. So Sarah, thank you so much for being our latest Weight Loss Warrior. It's
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you on the show. And thank you again. Take care of yourself.
And you. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you. Bye-bye.